Ladies and gentlemen, traders of all levels, strap in for an evening of enlightenment with a dash of entertainment as we dive into this high stake world of prop firm trading. Tonight's masterclass is brought to you by none other than Pete, a man who once thought that the bull in the bear market referred to, well, a wildlife park. But yes, our very own hot seat hero turned trading teacher. Pete has come a long way from confusing market trends with his furry animal friends. And we're here now for tonight on how to pass a prop firm challenge, taught by a guy who has had more ups and downs than a caffeinated kangaroo. But remember, let's all remember that when Pete thought the Fibonacci sequence was just a yoga routine. Well, now he's here to show with enough perseverance, strategy, and maybe a few educational losses here and there, anyone can turn their trading around. So get ready to take notes or uh, or do whatever floats your boat. But Pete's here to take you on a journey from the land of what the heck am I doing to the realm of look at me now, ma. And while Pete's dropping those golden nuggets of trading wisdom, let's not forget to have just a little bit of fun. Because if you can't laugh at the market or Pete's early trading strategies, then, my friends, you're missing out on the joy of trading. So prepare yourself for a masterclass filled with insights, anecdotes, and maybe a gentle rib or two. Now let's find out if Pete's transition from student to sensei is as smooth as he claims, or if it's more like a bunch of mashed potatoes.
I
There you go.
approve the last part of that message. Thanks for
Bragging.
that intro. That was really heartfelt. I appreciate it.
Uh,
All right. Well, it is my pleasure to come before you again and offer up a little bit of teaching advice as a guest. This is my third time here. Tonight we're going to be talking about prop firm challenges and how to pass them. So once again, the shortest introduction possible. And my name is Referee Pete. I'm from Minnesota. How's my volume, by the way?
Things good.
Okay,
It's fine.
awesome. I've been trading since 2021. I've added a couple of credentials along the way. I did find an interesting quote that I've updated. Trading doesn't get harder. It's just you getting stronger. So that really resonated for what we're going through as a Discord team, Trade the Fund. Now, for every trader, as we start out into the prop firm challenge world, we all eventually come to this place, the point where we all need to figure out how do we get into, how do we trade inside of, and ultimately, how do we get through and pass a prop firm challenge? So tonight, I'm going to be speaking to three groups. All of us fall into one of these three categories, and they are group one, someone who's never bought a live prop firm challenge before. Group two, someone who has, but we haven't yet passed the live prop firm challenge. Or group three, which is I've bought challenges, I've passed challenges, phase one, phase two. I'm even potentially a live funded trader. I might still occasionally fail one, and I may have failed some in the past along the way, but I have passed and I am live trading, and I'm eager to keep stacking them in line. So regardless of which group you see yourself in at the moment, keep your ears perked up, because as we go over all the keys necessary tonight, I want to see if we can move you from the group that you're currently in now into the group you want to be next as soon as possible. So, prop firm challenges, how to pass them. First, let's go over the three areas that easily explain what needs to be on your checklist as potential barriers in your prop firm journey. Number one would be setting the foundation. We're going to be talking about what that entails. Number two, setting the pace. And number three, going live. So there's no better way to start, no better place to start than with setting the foundation. And I think you'd agree that trading, at least for me and those that I interact with every day, it's an amazing adventure. And everyone knows that at the beginning of every great adventure is a good map or a checklist. So let's get through some foundational items that we've got to start with. Technology-wise, you want to enter a prop firm challenge. There's a specific trading platform that you've got to learn tech-wise. It could be the prop firm specific, or they could send you out to MT5 or some other comparable platform. But it's been said that it does need about 100 or so trades for you to get used to the technology buttons and figure it out if it's brand new to you. And maybe it'll take you less trades if you're already familiar with the basics. But it is a small barrier that we all have to get over. The second one in our specific line of trading is our EAs, such as Talon and Anubis and the Q order panel. After that, we've got to set up accounts. We literally have to open up a new account. We've got to set up and track logins and passwords. We've got to set up payouts. We've got to pay via credit card. We got to set up maybe CoinPurse or crypto to get deposits back, maybe the Cash app. So regardless of your trading experience, we all have to go through this simple foundation piece. Just like the next one, we've got to compare prop firms. This may sound rudimentary, but what prop firms are out there for you to choose from? Are they inside or outside the US? What are their costs for a 10K account, for a 100K account? What are their targets for phase 1 and phase 2? Do you need 10% or 8? Do you need 5% or 3? What are their risk out parameters? What are their fees? What are their payouts? And I would say the most important one of all is, do they actually pay out? Do you know someone who has actually gotten a paycheck from this prop firm? That should be on your checklist. So that's really it for barriers to actually get into a prop firm challenge. You've got technology and you've got to find the right prop firm. The barrier to enter is essentially that. They don't care if you know how to trade. They don't care if you don't have any experience. Regardless of your level in your Forex journey, all of us have this initial barrier to get into. So another thing that we have in common is the ability to make a foolish decision. So you can make a foolish decision by jumping into a $1 million prop firm challenge when you're not ready, when you have virtually no idea what you're doing. That's foolish. But on the other side, it can also be foolish for you to wait too long before getting into a live challenge. If you know what you're doing, if you've been trading, if you have the experience and you're just not getting into and you're just hanging around in demo accounts, that's kind of foolish. So let's keep going. Let's talk about number 2, and let's see if we can determine when is a good time for us to take the next step. So number 1 was setting the foundation. Number 2, setting the pace. Almost all of us are here to find out one of 2 main questions. Number 1, how long is it going to take to pass a typical challenge? And number 2, what do I need to know in order to pass one? Now, of course, the answer to this question, how long is it going to take me to pass a challenge? The answer is it depends. It depends on your experience. It depends on your trading education. It also depends on how you're going to self-govern your trading behavior and how you're progressing through your trading education journey. If you take our simple 3 and 50 method, this is a non-binding, non-guarantee, non-claim. Our 3 and 50 method is a 0.25% goal per day. Well, mathematically, by 5 days, you would make 1.25% at the end of the week. And at the end of the month, you have 5%. Well, if phase 1 needs a 10% profit target, then it would take you 2 months to get through phase 1. It would take you another month to get through phase 2. Mathematically, if you're following along in our hot seat session every day, and mathematically, if our stats show that we're collecting an average of 0.25% a day minimum, well then you can put 2 and 2 together and see how that could be a goal for you to set. Now, is that guaranteed? Sadly, no. All right, so I can make a blanket statement about simple math problem, but here's where the self-governing comes in. Your behavior. There's 2 sides of this spectrum. One is, are you more risk averse? Right? The other side, are you more in line to move the needle? Which is risk, trading to protect your capital, trading small, everything that entails that. or moving the needle, trading for income, ratcheting things up like position size, because you're no longer satisfied with $1 or $10 a day. Now you have your eyes set on $100 a day or $1,000 a day. Interesting enough, all of us are on one end of this spectrum or the other, and everywhere in between. Now, the pros, when we start talking about pros and cons of both of these sides of the spectrum, it's really going to be an evolution. Let's talk about risk. What are the pros of being risk adverse? You might be self-aware that you have more to learn, and you're trading with low risk as you take your lumps. That's a positive for being risk adverse. If I'm trading 0.01 in a $10,000 account or a $20,000 account, that is very self-aware that you are tentative in your trading. Maybe you're trying out new strategy, but also this is a pro. You're being responsible. You're being patient. You're taking things one step at a time. You're keeping your risk small, which allows you to protect your account. So your account's protected because you're not losing 0.5%, 1%, 2% a day. If you lose 100 pips, that might only be 0.10 of your account. That's protecting your account. Another pro would be building confidence. The more that you continue to trade in your strategy, the more confidence you're building because you're confirming that your trading strategy works. Now, there may not be no home runs, but there's no strikeouts either. Comfort zone. There's nothing wrong as you're starting your trading to be in your comfort zone, both psychologically and physically. Your heart rate isn't racing. You're not slamming your fist on the desk with every pip against you. You're not losing 1% of your account for every 2 pips that the market goes not in your favor. You might still be frustrated with losses, but you aren't risking out. You're not margining out. You're not failing challenges. And the best part, if you're able to be profitable while trading small with low risk, that's actually a huge skill to master for later on in your career as you become a candidate for trading larger funds, which only allow very low risk management anyway. So those are the pros. Now you could probably think of some of the cons. The cons of being risk adverse: it becomes too comfortable. You're in danger of actually stunting your growth, becoming stagnant, psychologically creating a wall for yourself that it's probably going to be hard for you to climb over. You're used to staying in the market at very small trade sizes. So once you start to ratchet up the risk, you're actually going to experience some death by 1,000 cuts scenarios because you never had to get out at the proper times. So there's a little bit of a developing bad habits that could arise if you stay on one end of the spectrum too long. Now, you may be trading more risk averse because of a defeatist mindset, a negative self-talk. Oh, I might lose. I don't want the market to go against me. I don't want to lose my profit. Oh, this always happens to me. I better move down from 0.03 to 0.02 to 0.01, right? We might be thinking that waiting for more knowledge. I still don't know enough. I'm still trying to gather information. Well, eventually, you're going to learn everything there is to learn. And you do need to step out of your comfort zone and start to move the barometer. But the major con would be the timeline. And our timeline pathway to becoming a professional trader is in danger of just being stretched out over months and years compared to days and weeks if you stay there too long. So right about now, everyone that's over on the I need a larger position size in order to make money, they're all saying, yeah, you risk adverse people need to stop being such babies and come over to our side, right? Well, let's talk about moving the needle. The pros of moving the needle. Hey, huge confidence boost. Any win we get, our equity curve is going to skyrocket. So with confidence, our trading skills, that's going to further spur us on to jump in with both feet. We're trading with higher risk, that scratches our adrenaline risk itch. And we're seeing bigger gains faster. So we're getting to the finish line faster. We're passing phase 1 faster. We're passing phase 2 faster. we're getting actual paychecks a lot faster than if we're in the other side of the spectrum. So, cons. When things don't work out, you got to cut your losses fast before that account gets damaged. Not only damaged, if we don't cut like we're supposed to, those losses are compounded. One bad day, it can wipe out 2 weeks. It can wipe out a month's worth of work. It can cause a risk out failure. So in the same way that success raises our confidence, large profits, failures can destroy our confidence. And that just causes a myriad of emotions, and that affects our mental toughness overall. So as we look at risk adverse or moving the needle, are there barriers to enter? So let's talk about those barriers, or the cost to being in the more risk adverse camp, or the cost to be in the moving the needle camp. So similar to technology, there is a barrier, but unlike technology, the barrier is different for everyone. If you're more risk adverse, time, that's your cost. It's going to take you longer to get to your goals. Since you're aiming for small percentages each day, well, that has to be a part of your expectations as we set the pace. So you can't expect to pass a prop firm challenge in 1 month when you're going for 1% a month. And unlike the move the needle group, you might be in one live challenge account, or in this case, maybe you are Forexing, but you might find yourself in those accounts for the entire 2024 season. Right? Okay, now moving the needle. You got money. How is money your barrier? Well, money is a barrier because you're finding yourself buying bigger challenges than the other group. Unlike them who are shooting for a $5,000 account, $10,000 account, you're jumping in both feet. Forex $25,000 account, or 50, or $100,000 account, or you're jumping into instant funding accounts, right? You're bypassing the challenge account altogether. So you've probably bought yourself up in the accounts and are ready to almost trade live overnight. But if you don't pass phase 1 and 2s, you've got to rebuy. And then if you're dropping $500 or $2,000 a month in challenge account fees and you're not passing them, that can be a huge barrier that slows you down. So you certainly have higher risk exposure, but you'll get there quicker. You're going to get quicker feedback. If you're moving the needle and you're running into bigger roadblocks more frequently than the risk adverse group, it could be said that you are getting through the ugly part and getting through there faster. Now, think of this. We take these two groups, and wherever you're at on those groups, and right now is December 2023. If we fast forward 2 years to December 2025, let's compare. We may find out that the risk adverse group, they got to their live funding. It took longer, but they got there, and they're doing just fine, and they're making their percentage. Compare that to the moving the needle group. They also got there. They got to their live funding. Now, they potentially paid 2 or 3 times more, or maybe even 5 to 10 times more in money in their total challenges, but they also have a bigger reward. They're probably seeing 10 times their payouts than the risk adverse group. So do you see how, regardless of which area you're entering the prop firm challenge world, there's spots for everybody. Now, please know that everyone's going to see themselves somewhere on that spectrum of those two sides. Now, I'm going to concede that the two scenarios I laid out, that's not 100% set in stone. It's not binary. You're either one end or the other. I think we can all pick out people in our own community who can be certainly very risk adverse, but at the same time, they're in $1 million accounts and they're happy making 0.05% a day. Or you could be a needle mover with 12 accounts that are $1,000. So wherever you are on this scale, that's the perfect starting spot for you. But with both of these groups, the cost for all of us is either going to be time or money. That's it. You can't escape it. One thing to note, throughout our trading career, as long as we're striving to evolve, as long as we're striving to get better, to study, to trade, we're going to bounce back and forth between the risk column and the needle column. But we always need to be striving to ratchet it up, continue to ratchet up. If you're in 0.01s in a $5,000 account, eventually you're going to move to a $10,000 account. And then eventually you're going to ratchet it up from 0.01 to 0.02. And then eventually you're going to go to 0.03 and 0.04 and 0.05. And then you're going to ratchet up to $25,000 account. And pretty soon you're going to be 0.25. And so you see how as you're continuing to grow and evolve as a trader, your risk adverse and moving the needle are going to continue to grow as well. So on to our next question. As we look at where we see ourselves on this scale, how do we level up? What tangible things can we do that myself and others in Trade the Fund have done personally to get us to the next level? On the pathway to becoming a professional trader, if we were to make a list of things that are most important for us to become better, I think these three things would be very close to the top. Number one, seat time. Speeds up the learning curve process tremendously. There is no shortcut to mastering anything, and trading is no different. The old adage says that if it takes 10,000 hours of practice and experience to become an expert in any field, an instrument, a sport, your professional field, 10,000 hours divided by 40 hours a week is 250 weeks. That's 5 years. So let's drop that down, not to 10,000 hours, but let's talk about 1,000 hours. Even if someone says that they can take a brand new trader from newbie to a full-time professional trader in 1,000 hours, that's still an average of 2 to 4 hours per day in the seat, doing some level of trading or learning every day for 12 months. That's 1 year. The only way that we can see and feel the market is to be in the market. The longer you prolong this 1,000 hours of seat time, the longer it's going to take to get you out the other side. We've talked about the market and its behavior many times in our trading sessions. The market has behaviors because people have behaviors, and people are the traders. August and December, as an example, are totally different markets and behaviors than July and November for a myriad of reasons. And the only way to understand them is to go through those market seasons. You can't take them off. Unless you haven't experienced them before, you've got to be present. You've got to be in the room. You've got to be trading in the seat. You have to take advice from other traders who have gone before you. You got to have the seat time, consistent seat time. There's no substitute. There's no shortcuts. Number two, you need a mentor. You need someone to learn from who isn't full of baloney. For you to be successful, you have to hitch your wagon to a mentor who is making money, who you witness making money, preferably in a live setting. Now, you sometimes don't find this person the very first time you're out looking. You sometimes don't find and purchase the right education, the right trading strategy the first time. A lot of us have spent time and money on other mentors and other education before finding Trade the Fund. And Dave, I will not sell crypto Moffitt. And just like the seat time, there's no shortcuts. If you found Trade the Fund on your very first try, congratulations, because that is very unique. Now, truth be told, there are other mentors out there, right? In fact, there's many of us who have seen other mentors and sat under other mentors, but they're hard to find. A lot of it is fool's gold. A lot of it is YouTube after the fact videos. So you should be able to say this about the mentor you are following. They know what they're doing. They care enough about you personally to teach you how to do what they're doing. And they're legit. Also, they charge a fair price in exchange for their time invested in you. There's no free lunches. Nothing's for free. If you want to trade, you've got to pull up your big boy pants and you got to shell out some money investment in your future. There are zero chances. I was thinking about this the other day. Zero chances that I would be where I'm at today if it wasn't for mentorship, specifically mentorship that I received here at Trade the Fund, either through Dave personally or through the group as a whole. Feedback, comments, suggestions, recommendations, opinions. For me personally, I had a previous mentorship that it just didn't work out. And I recently came across another trading program. So I know that they're out there, right? Maybe we've come from other trading programs, but I've yet to find any group, any guru, or any system out there that does this one unique thing. My mentor right now refuses to create a robot. He refuses to create a group of minions who just copy his clicks. My mentor refuses to sell his signals for a profit. My mentor is genuinely invested in my success. And not just for this month or until I pay my monthly subscription next month, but no, for the long term, because my mentor, this one that we found, he wants to teach and train us so he can replace himself with the next generation. That's who we all are becoming. So then we can turn around and do the same for the next group of traders. You need a mentor to take you to the next level. Someone better than you at trading, someone who helps analyze your trades, someone who sits with you during your trading sessions, someone who helps you learn through your failures and risks out. And more importantly, someone who's your biggest cheerleader. Seat time, mentor. Oddly enough, you don't have to look too far to find out what sort of mentorship programs Trade the Fund offers. Many of you are already in fast track. Many of you are already in the hot seat. And like I said before, it's not free, but it is worth it. So can you still pass a prop firm challenge without a mentor? Maybe by sitting and watching our trade room? Maybe. I couldn't. Others couldn't. Maybe you can. From October 2022 until January of this year, I was on the sidelines watching Dave and the hot seaters trade. But it wasn't until I jumped in February of 2023 that my trading exponentially improved. And when I signed on and jumped in with both feet. The third thing, learning through failure. You cannot avoid failure. You can't insulate yourself from failure. Simply losing on a trade is the definition of failing in that attempt. There's no way to make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. So you have to get used to trying and failing on your journey. Learning from your failures can look like many things. It can be reviewing your recorded trading sessions. It can be reviewing others' sessions. It can be replaying a session in a simulator to trade it again. Sitting in the co-pilot chair with your mentor while they give instruction and feedback as you both trade. The sooner you get into your first account, the sooner you can join the rest of us and fail your first challenge and get it out of the way, right? We should have a wall where we put up our first failed challenge email printout and say, sorry, sir, you've breached your account. Welcome to the club. Because the sooner you get into a live account, the sooner you can get that out of the way and we can move on with our learning. So we've talked about setting the foundation. We've talked about setting the pace. So now number 3, you have to go live. You've got to get into a live funded account. You've got to get out of the demos. My real growth came the moment that I got into an account that I cared about. An account that has consequences for winning and losing. An account that's going to cost you money if you lose, because you're going to learn from those failures. The moment when you can't just set the game controller down and hit the reset button and then you get a fresh new lives, that's the moment when you will get better at PTP because you don't get a reset. You have to fix it. That's going to be the moment where you fully understand and take the time to work through how to operate Anubis, how to operate talent. That's going to be the time when you care enough to figure out how to set up your copy trader into 3 other accounts. That's when you're going to stop messing up your position size because it matters. Now, are you going to figure all that out at once? No, not all at once. But you're going to care enough to learn from your failures. Until then, there's not really other advice for you. You can't win a basketball game unless you sign up to play the season. How are you going to ever pass a challenge if you don't enter? Since September 2nd, I've entered 16 challenges. I've passed 6 phase 1s. I've failed 6 phase 1s. I currently have 4 phase 1s. I've passed 6 phase 2s, but I've also failed 4 phase 2s. Then I re-entered. I currently have 2 phase 2s active, and I have 2 live funded accounts. I once was 0.41% away from passing phase 2, and I took a 4% loss. In my first group of 4 accounts in September, I passed 1 phase. I was up 8% on the other 3 accounts, and I risked out 5%. I failed it. They were in profit, and I failed the daily loss. I had to restart. I had to rebuy, and I did it. You have to have that mindset. The last thing I'm going to say is seat time. Again, number 4, seat time. Number 3, reassess where you're at on the risk and reward needle. You always have to reassess. Am I being too risk adverse? Am I not adding enough position size? Number 2, you have to have more than one trading strategy. You have to have more than one trading strategy. You're being taught the 3 and 50 method. Are you able to develop your overnight trade setup? Or are you able to develop your own swing trading setup or long-term setup? Get into a live funded account. Have more than one trading strategy. Reassess where you're at and continue to seek time. So the last thing here. To you 3 groups of traders that are listening. If you're in group number 1, it's your job to get into a live account that you care about. A live account that has consequences for the risk and reward. That's your action step. Number 2, to you guys, to the group 2, how is your seat time? Have you invested in a mentor? Are you learning through your failures? And to group 3 traders, there's a saying in the military, drink water, drive on. You're in pain, drink water, drive on. No matter what, keep going. You're going to have a breakthrough moment. You just are. Mine happened November 29th. It was in the hot seat session with Dave and Nikki Kovashi, and they were discussing the KPI. And from that moment on, I felt I was a different trader. There was a moment there where I had a breakthrough moment. But you have to keep moving ahead. And the last thing I'll add is this. You want to know how I passed the prop firm challenge? This is how I did it. Seat time. I had my mentor continuing to give me feedback, continuing to teach, continue to encourage. I went live with no demos, and I failed for a couple months. I also developed more than one strategy. So now, I made this comment in the Discord with a message with Robin and Josh, and they were joking about how the percentages that I've been putting up recently. And I told them this: instead of me taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, which is a lot of us in our trading career, up until we have our breakthrough. Instead of doing that, I suddenly started taking 3 steps forward and 1 step back. And sometimes I'm taking 4 steps forward. And you can too. So if you follow that logic, for example, if you need 8 steps to climb to the top of that ladder, if you need 8%, if you need 8 steps, if you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back, that's going to take 7 iterations to get to the top. 2 steps forward, 1 back. Another 2 forward, 1 back. But get this. If you grow, if something you're able to add to your toolbox clicks, if you're able to now take 3 steps forward and 1 step back, it no longer takes 3 iterations. It no longer takes 7 iterations. It takes 3. So you get out of that, you get to the top of the ladder in half the time, and everyone thinks you're a genius. And I told these guys, and I'm telling you, I'm not doing anything that you can't do. Somehow my trading has continued to progress by following these steps: seed time, mentor, live, more than one strategy. And now I'm still having that 1 step back, but I'm getting to the top of the ladder faster. And that's the progression that I see you guys making. And I think all of us, if we're looking at our mentor and we say, wow, if I'm 3 steps forward and 1 step back, he must be 7 steps forward and 1 step back. And that's the goal. That's the goal that your mentor wants for you, and that's the goal that we want for you. So here is my phase 2 account. Look at that beautiful thing. Notice anything? Started out in November, ended in, like, I want to say December 10th. Did I say November? September. September. The account went great, 4%. Okay, I figured it out, 4%. Okay, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. This is the spot. Look at this, look at that bad mamma jamma. I think I was literally $31 away from losing this phase 2 account. And right here is when I started to use my multiple strategies, so overnight trades. And right here, this spot right here was November 29th when I had that breakthrough. And in less than 8 trading days, I made up $1,100 and passed the account. This was phase 2. This is now in the live funded account. And I'm happy to say that the account is positive and it's continuing to grow each day. Not because I'm doing something magical, but because of the items that we talked about tonight. So my encouragement to you, figure out where you're at in this spectrum. Figure out which group you are in. Figure out what you think your barrier to enter is. Is it time? Is it going to be money? Figure out where you're at with seed time. How about that mentorship? Are you ready to jump into live accounts? Are you ready to develop another strategy? Because if you are, then in a couple short weeks, you can be teaching a class just like I am. And with that, I'm concluding how I passed a prop firm challenge.
So just to biggest question that's on everybody's mind right now is, did I pay you money to say all those nice things?
Well, you thought I was talking about you?
Oh, okay, good. No, but I know you're talking about Josh.
I just want to know when we're gonna get this Forex Lambo guru.
Yeah, when we bringing in the guru.
Like all the ones on YouTube. Look, I'm one trade at $1 billion, and I have a Rolex and a Lambo.
You guys, Pete clearly talking about Brandon. I mean, everybody.
Clearly.
Okay.
You didn't let me finish. You didn't let me finish. Oh, hold on. Let me pull this over here. Finn, there. Now I'm finished. It was Brandon. I'm talking about Brandon.
La referee Pete. I love it.
So,
Very good high opening, Pete.
So
No,
basically, basically what you're saying, Pete, is there's no substitute for work and effort, right? But if you're putting in if you're putting in the if you're not focused on the right thing, then you're not going to get the results you want, right? And what was it? You had mentioned that you had bought prop firms, you failed. You bought them, you failed. What was it? What was it that made you switch that said, I'm going to go buy one, right? Because if you're in that first group that you talked about, the people that never bought one, what
Yep.
was it that said to you that I'm like, okay, I am just going to do it. I'm going to go do it, right?
Sure. So I was pushed over the edge by was it MFF or MMF, that prop firm that crashed, and so the government jumped on all the regulators. Back in August, back in September, when they failed, many of you were with us. I had all my accounts still trading with LVO and the apiary fund. I didn't have any desire to jump into MT5 and learn all that stuff. And Dave, you were talking about it. You came up with this new idea of trying to go for smaller percentages, but copying 3 or 4 accounts across the board. We all were just taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 back, 1 forward, and just not getting any traction. And so, funny enough, with that fund failing, some sort of a Ponzi scheme or whatever they did, that scared the apiary fund to close their doors for a month. And it just happened to coincide with me setting up my very first accounts. And at first, you wanted us to pass demo accounts. So I had an FTMO demo account, just like everyone else, the 2-week free trial, kept failing it, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And the second that those accounts got shut off, or we knew they were going to be shut off in a couple of days, I took your advice, because you said once you figure it out, you're gonna want to figure it out in live funds, not demo, not pretend money, not fake money. When you figure it out, and he wasn't specifically talking about me, but to the group, when the two, I'm putting this in my own words, when you start to take 3 steps forward and not 1, and you're in live funded accounts, that's when things will start to take off and snowball and positively. And they really have.
And you said that it was November 29th when you had your aha moment. Was I right in that? That seems like that wasn't very long ago.
No,
Yes,
it really
yes,
wasn't.
Yes, November 29. What
Yeah.
was that turnaround? That's
Yep. So if you go look at the trade to fund calendar, that's the hot seat session with you and Nick, when you just stop the presses and you're like, hold on, and you started talking about the KPI, and the way that it was explained that time, or the way I finally heard it.
Okay.
And now before that, again, I was trading fine, but I was very much a 2 step forward, 1 step back. And so there was something about that session that was the final piece that I needed. And so from there, I felt like my trading instantly jumped to 3 steps forward, 1 step back. And after bringing that account back up, and the combination of my night trade setups, and the combination of X, Y, and Z, and seeing everybody else, they're going through the same education evolution that I am. And so I know it sounds like it was less than a month ago, but really before that, it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And now I'm with a lot of the other traders that are just feeling like they've had that breakthrough and they're ready to keep going. So
one of the things that I like that you said, if you go out there and you just kind of talk to anybody out there, not just, I'm not saying this from a biased perspective. And if you ask somebody, if you had somebody that you feel is a good trader, is making money, the full-time trading income, and you ask them this one question, which I've asked a lot of people, if you could start all over and do it again, how would you do it again? And what would you do differently, or how would you get to the point, faster, or whatever that is? Almost all of them will say to find a mentor. And that is nothing to do with, again, not me or anything like that. If I don't resonate with you, or if I'm teaching a different way than you don't want to, find somebody that resonates with you. because that's going to increase your learning curve exponentially. But like Pete said, be careful because there's a lot of them out there that are more about marketing and chasing the dollar than there is about teaching, right? So it's kind of hard to find that good mentor. But and I felt like I had one of the best mentors for me, right? And that is kind of why I personally told this to Pete, to Josh, to Rob, um and to the instructors is that they need to become mentors because the moment that they do that, their trading game is going to skyrocket. And I can't have 100 people that are doing hot seats. So I love this new fast track model that we have put together because it's going to elevate Pete's game, it's going to elevate Josh's trading game, and it's going to help you guys out. So I really appreciate you bringing that. I really appreciate you mentioning that because that's exactly what we have. If you have not signed up for your mentorship and your mentorship, please do so, right? Because it really does change the game for you. And I can't echo what Pete was saying enough, right? Um,
Well, and
so
I would also add, I mean, this is a byproduct that I don't think I realized until doing this presentation was by us trading with you and you being our instructor, we have made you become a better instructor. The way
for
that
sure.
we trade now versus 12 months ago has evolved in a positive way. And so Alex and I, after our hot seat session, we exchanged a couple messages, and I told him that I was so excited for him because he gets all of this information, all of the good stuff, all of here's the 3 and 50 method with all of the rough parts sanded off that we've all us OG first generation, second generation hot seaters with Dave, we all had to like work through and work out the bugs. It's almost like it was a beta. And now all of you guys showing up and jumping in, your learning curve is going to be so much faster.
Yeah, absolutely. They get the benefit of our refinement, and we're still refining, right? And I'm still learning how to become a better teacher every single day. That's what excites me, right? And coming up with, I know that we have our own jargon, if you will, but it comes from there's a story behind it. And PTP comes from you, right? Smack of Brandon, we all know where that comes from, right? And so I like to have stories behind it, and the community has helped build what we're doing, and we'll continue to build that. So um uh Curtis says, can you talk a little bit about your night trading? What was it that you felt like you needed to have the night trading? Explain a little bit about that. And just as I've been struggling getting into some trades. I keep getting stop or I keep putting my my stop loss on, and then it keeps knocking me out, and then I put
Sure.
I keep trying to I'm over my goal, so I'm like but I really want to get into some night trades. But it's hard. It's hard sometimes, and sometimes it's easy. But talk about that as how that really just kind of clicked with you and what you're doing with your overnight stuff.
Gotcha. So for Curtis or anyone else who wants to hear a little bit of an explanation of it, go out to the calendar and look at my Wednesday mornings the last 2 weeks for sure, maybe the last 3 weeks, but for sure the last 2 weeks, and even this morning, because we start the morning up and we talk about our night trades, and because I've got the microphone, I'm showing everybody here's where I started, here's what I saw, here's what I did, and here's the results. So the actual method, it's out there to go watch. But um, as we continue to get better at trading, we actually don't realize what the rest of the outside community is up to, or how much they know compared to us. I had stumbled into another trading Discord group, And they offer a Telegram, and they've got their guy, and they do obviously a different strategy than we do. But a couple of things that they had talked about, it resonated with me, and I looked over at my night trades and said, I bet I could adjust, make a couple of tweaks, and it will do X, Y, and Z, and let's test this thing out. And sure enough, it started to work as well as can be. And so again, like, you can go check out the Wednesday, but us as traders, we always have to be evolving and learning. And once we hone in our methods, then we can go. But if we're in that phase of this, for example, fractals, a lot of us had gone through the process to learn about fractals. Either it is smooth for us, or it's not smooth for us, and we stick with it or we move on. And so, but there's little pieces that you can take from that method. So I think it was just an evolution of a couple of different methods. Does that answer your question, or do you want me to go further?
No, just say what you're basically saying. Watch the presentation he did.
Go watch the presentation. Nobody here wants to hear my.
But one of the things that Pete did, and I'll say this in his journey, is that he included me in his journey. He would hit me up, and he would get me with a group of people and say, now teach me about overnight. What are you seeing? What do you see here? And then he would say, well, teach me about KPIs. What do you see here? And he has started to get to the point, and where I think it was last week, where I purposely didn't tell him the setup that I was going to take, because I wanted to see if he'd take it. And sure enough, he did. Was it last week? It was and sure enough, he did. He took it, and he was right there with me. And so he's been asking the questions, right? And he's been asking the questions to get better. And I've seen his journey, and I've seen his progression get a lot better. And I told him this from his last mentorship that he did, that I really saw him to have two styles of trading. And I'm not gonna divulge what I saw, but at the beginning, I was like, it wasn't that good. And I told him that it wasn't that good, but you had a major aha moment during that session that I recognized. And that is what I want you to pull out of it. And that's what I want you to take out. And he's like, and I asked him what he thought it was, and he hit the nail on the head with that aha moment that he had. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. And that is, a testament to him, but also to you guys, to have the community behind your back, to ask the questions, to get better. I love the fact what Eagle did today. He had a rough day. He threw it out there, and the community said, this is what we're doing, right? He's not the only one that has rough days. We all have rough days, but we find our strengths from our vulnerabilities. We can get better as we share our weaknesses, and we can get better as a community to do that, right? So really good comment. Any last questions that anybody have? Any questions that anybody has out there? And we're certainly not saying, I don't think you're saying this, Pete. You're not saying that I can pass any prop firm that's out there now because I'm awesome. I'm an awesome trader. But how do you feel about prop firms and buying another one? Do you know what I mean? How do you feel about if you had to go pass another challenge, right? Now that you've done it.
Right. So you've made this comment, I think either today or yesterday's hot seat session, where once you pass a challenge, the second one is easier, and the third one is easier, and the fourth one is easier, and the fifth one you can do in 2 days. Is my confidence in the process, is it sky high right now? Yes. Do I feel like I'm invincible? Absolutely not. You go back two sessions ago, and Diane and I had great learning strides, but that was a step back for me, right? And so you should never be at the point where you take 2 steps forward and then push all your chips in the middle. You always have to respect the market. And so the confidence in the process, good. Confidence and arrogance in yourself, not good. So you have to take everything with a grain of salt, right? It was only a live challenge. I still need to now score 10% in order to get a payout. So there's always the next goalpost to get to. And am I going to turn around? I think once you start to get into live challenges, I'll end with this, Dave, is now you're ready to go ask for the video that says, how do I link up batches of accounts? Because I don't have 4 anymore. Now I have 8. Now I have 12. Now I have 16. So I need to set up 4 sets of 4 accounts so I can go goal, close, go, close. Reached goal and reached goal. So that's the next step for that level 3. So
Appreciate it. No, I love it. I think I'm echoing everybody here tonight. This is an excellent presentation. You're not saying that you're the best trader in the world, but you've unlocked your confidence, right? You know that you can do this now. And I really loved your journey. I'm thankful to be a part of your journey. So thank you for including me in the journey. I'm going to ask you one last question, and we'll kind of call it a night. But I want to ask you the question that I've asked a lot of traders on their journey. And I know that you said, 1, 2, 3s of how to pass a prop firm, or seat time, mentor, and what was the third one? Sorry, remind me.
Learning through failure.
Just learning through failure. So if you had to start over, like if you were starting brand spanking new, or you have somebody that was brand spanking new, never placed a trade in their life, what advice would you give that person to just being starting out right now? What would you tell that person to do? Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the low hanging fruit is you have to come alongside somebody who is ahead of you in your journey. That's the only way for you to grow. So you have to, at some level, find a mentor. Before the internet, it was whoever was the trading guru that you bought their book, right? So everyone is always looking for the mentor. Number 2 is wanting to be educated and wanting to learn and wanting to, when you have the courses set out there, if I don't know these courses, I need to go through them. But once I learn them, you have to set that aside. I think if you find yourself in group 3 and probably in group 2, where you're in this 2-step, 1-step, or 3-step, 1-step, you're probably finding out now that you're looking around and saying, there's actually nothing else left for me to learn. I don't need this list that is in our trade the fund, right? So there is an education barrier. Once you get through that, now let's move into live trading.
Would you move into live trading quicker than you did in your journey?
I mean, well, we kind of were. We were all striving for that. We kind of already were in a enclosed prop firm hedge fund type of a setting with Apiary. So I already put money down for the education and then the funded account. Now we kept blowing it up, right? But I think that it is a healthy, not skepticism, but a healthy patience for you to gather information, hold your mentor's hand, and when they think you're ready, then jump in.
I agree with that.
So do not wait until you know everything to jump in, because you will never you will never know everything, because some of it has to be experienced in live trading.
I agree.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the best experience, but we always say the market can be the best teacher and can be the worst teacher. That's why you need a mentor to decipher that's bad
Hey.
teaching, and you need one of every good mentor should have one of these.
Needs a
right?
doll.
You need to- bad Pete. All
Hey,
right.
I really appreciate the platform tonight. Thank you guys for coming along, and I hope that you're able to pull something out of here, and I hope you're able to see yourself in one of those groups and see where I was and follow along right with me as I continue to, do what everyone else is doing, is trying to get better.
And I appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to put this together. It was well put together, well thought out. So appreciate that. And speaking of mentorships, we have one tomorrow with Josh. Josh is going to be the mentor tomorrow. Who is it, Josh? Who's if you're here, I don't know. Maybe he left. Maybe he's asleep. You put him to sleep.
Yes, I did.
No,
No.
it's John.
Is it John?
Yeah, it's John Rojas.
Oh, John Rojas. Okay. Yep. So tomorrow is another mentorship and another opportunity for us to all get better. And so I'm excited for that. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning for some awesome, fun trading. So thank you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thanks.